Good morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Sumer and all of you, wherever you are connecting from or wherever you are watching us, to this special session to EduTV program, Empowering Minds, Experiential Learning, and Mental Well-being in Global Education. Today, we delve into a transformative concept, experiential learning. This approach bridges the gap between theory and practice, empowering students to engage deeply with real-world challenges. Beyond academics, experiential learning also fosters critical skills like problem solving, adaptability, collaboration, while promoting mental well-being, two pillars essential for preparing future-ready individuals. I would like to express my gratitude to EduTV for organizing this platform, which constantly brings global thought leaders together to shape future of students of education. So we are honored to have with us a stalwart of education, Dr. Sumer Bahadur Singh ji. Sir, pranam. With over 3 decades of experience, Dr. Singh has been at the forefront of revolutionizing education globally. As the advisor of Sai International Education Group and a leader in institutions like Delhi College and Lawrence School, Sansvar, he has constantly championed innovation and excellence. His extensive work in global citizenship and experiential learning inspires educators worldwide. So, sir, Dr. Singh, it's a privilege to uh, learn from your wisdom today. And I'm looking forward to an enlightening session from your side, and your inputs will definitely help me as well as all the educators across the globe, those who are listening to us, as we explore how experiential learning can empower students to excel academically and nurture their mental well-being. So I would like to share a few thoughts about Dr. Sumer as well. That Dr. Sumer is a product of Doon and St. Stephens, and more than 49 years into education, he is enlightened many lives across the globe. So, sir, would like to listen you from you about your more about you and just introduce yourself for the audience. Maybe I left few things. I request you to please introduce yourself, sir.
No, I'm basically a schoolmaster. I've been a schoolmaster for 50 years, and that too in residential schools in India and abroad. And this topic that you have given me is on specifically on residential schools. So I did 10 years as a student in residential schools, and 3 in college, and then 50 as a teacher, as an educator. So I am very happy to remain. My introduction could just be schoolmaster. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. So let's start this enlightening conversation, sir. So I would like to ask you, experiential learning allows students to connect classroom learning with the real world. From your extensive experience, what are some innovative ways schools can integrate experiential learning to enhance both academic success as well as mental well-being of a child?
Okay, I will go back 45 years and tell you about an experiment which a few of us conducted at the Doon School when we were young schoolmasters. There was a new headmaster who had come and taken over Doon, and we thought this was a good opportunity to allow him or get him to allow us to experiment with experiential education. And since he had never been in a school environment before, he actually gave us permission, much to the surprise of a lot of other people. Now, what happened was that we asked for 90 students, which comprised the entire sixth class, which was the junior most class at Doon in those days. We asked for all 90 students. We said there will be four of us teachers who will take care of these 90 students. We will have no subject divisions. We will have no classroom. We will have no subject teachers. We will have no textbooks. We will cover all aspects in an integrated manner through experiential education. Obviously, there was a lot of skepticism as to whether this was possible or whether this was just dreaming. But the headmaster gave us permission. And the deputy headmaster, who was formerly my tutor when I was a student in Doon, he said that this cannot work, especially with subjects like mathematics, which are subjects which require a very regimented style of teaching and learning. But the headmaster said, okay, give him 6 months, give Sumer 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, we will go through an assessment conducted by the deputy headmaster, and he will then decide whether to continue with the experiment or to freeze it. Well, the deputy headmaster, in spite of all his skepticism, was very happy at the end of 6 months, and he asked us to continue with it. And we did, except that came a stage when I went off to England and the other members of my team went in different directions. Francis Phantom went off as the head of the council, as the secretary of the council, and Arun Kapoor went off as the head of Basant Valley, and so on. So this experiment kind of fizzled out. Otherwise, it was a very successful one. Now I'll give you the basis of it. The basis is that why do we have subject divisions? I can understand you have a subject division at a level where you start specializing in a subject. But when you are a small child, why do we have subject divisions and why are these not connected to each other? What I'm doing in mathematics today and what I'm doing in physics and chemistry and geography and history are all being dealt with absolutely as separate entities with no interconnection at all. So, what am I learning? My learning is very stunted. And it is all for the benefit of the teacher who then doesn't have to know so much. He just has to know enough of the subject which he has said he is a teacher of. So the first thing is we got rid of all the divisions in subjects. The second thing that we did was that we went way beyond the curriculum because the curriculum itself is a limiting factor. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you take a topic like water. So we made these 90 students into different groups, and each group of 5 students had a leader because one person has to take the decisions. We had an interviewer. These are, remember, 45 years ago, there was no, Google to look at. Somebody did references in the library. Somebody was in charge of interviews. Somebody was in charge of physical measurements and so on. And these teams would change every week so that people learned from each other how they work. Now, a team got 5 questions to answer in a week. And some of that had to be done on the ground, some of that had to be done through interviews, and so on and so forth. But all subjects were being covered. For example, with water, uh, biology comes into it, health comes into it, history comes into it. Why did the earliest civilization start on the banks of rivers? What are the diseases which you can get from water? What are the benefits? What are the dangers? Uh, then, if you look at the geography, how is erosion affected by the movement of water? And how are fossils formed? What evidence do we have that the area where we are living in now was once under the sea? Uh, you can look at mathematics. Mathematics, you can see how much is our water supply during a month, what is the per capita consumption, where does this water come from, how is it pumped to us, how is it stored, what are the capacities of the tanks, and so on. So physics, chemistry, biology, everything comes into this water. Then maybe a month later, we switch to something else. So this experiential learning I found was a great success. And on a school campus of a residential school, there are trees, there's water supply, there are gardens, there are buildings, there are all kinds of things which are there as a means of education. And then you have in a residential school uh, a very important lesson of integration. That happens normally and naturally. Uh, Students are coming from different regions. They're coming with different language backgrounds. They're coming from different cultures and religions and different customs. And so, you actually have a mini India, which is there in a residential school. I think the only two institutions left where you have the mini India represented at an educational level is the public school in the education sector and the defense forces at a national level. So it's a very important aspect of education, just the fact that it's a residential school drawing people from all over. Then you have the learning opportunities, which are much more than in a day school, because in a day school, time is the limiting factor. Students come, they attend classes, teachers come, they also attend their classes, and then everyone goes home. And what they do at home is something which half the time even the parents are not aware of what's happening. Whereas here, there's enough time to form special interest clubs, special interest societies, special interest publications, productions, whether it's dramatics or music. Uh, you know, the school council is something which you'll find in most residential schools. But in a day school, you'll find what we call a student council. Now, student council is basically a council which makes suggestions and comprises entirely of students. It can't take decisions. Whereas a school council is a real democratic decision-making body, which has right from the head of the school and the different people who are important in terms of finance and in terms of maintenance and in terms of food, plus different representations from the student body and from the teaching body. So once you have a school council, then you have real responsible democracy because then you're not just, having fun. You're actually taking decisions which are going to prepare you for life. So it is a very experiential oriented body. Then you have service leadership because there is enough time for that. You have a school curriculum. Now, very few schools have a school curriculum. But it is a school curriculum which ensures that your experiential learning is not by fluke. It's not for some students alone. Every single student must follow the school curriculum just as he follows the academic curriculum or whether it's the CBSE or IB or whatever. So we've got this in Doon, where at the Doon School, where we know that a child of class 7 needs to acquire the following experiences and skills at class 8 level, at class 9 level, so that by the time he finishes class 12, he is actually uh, fully able to say, I am a Doon School product, because he has gone through all the different aspects of the curriculum. I'm a great believer that opportunity is what is really important. And that's why I patented the School of Opportunity in 2016, because every child has the capacity, the ability, the talent, but unfortunately, most of our students in a country like ours, which is a poor country, do not have the opportunity. So we have to provide opportunities. Once we are clear in our minds that we are going to provide opportunities for experiential learning, then a lot of things happen. And a lot of people are there to support you. It's just a matter of reaching out to people. Even from within the parent body, there are so many people who are in different professions who can help. Then there are, organizations which have money for social responsibility projects. They help. But it's a matter of providing those opportunities. And, the kind of relationships that you build, friendships that you build in a school, in a boarding school situation, is very special. So we know from the research that has been done that your good health, your well-being, your long life is not a result of anything other than meaningful relationships. Meaningful relationships between friends are built in a boarding school without knowing what the other person can do for you. Whereas, let's face it, in a day school, everyone knows who is the son of who. And so friendships tend to be affected by that. So I think that, I hope, answers your question. But at the end of it, I'll say that a successful school is a school run by students.
Absolutely correct, sir. And it's amazing. And Doon School is always being a leader in education, and it's a well-known name across the globe. And the other day, I was just interviewing other person, one of the renowned educator from Varanasi. He's also doing he has also taken a very great initiative where he has created a entrepreneurship club inside his school, and school is financing them as well for around 20,000 bucks, and they are allowed to do their businesses, and the school highly bother for the losses if there are any, but they free all the students, group of students, to do the decision making and to take the charge, make profits, do things, and whatever they can do for their, and they used to do that as their own business. And by end of year, they always obviously review that, and they note down all the learnings, whatever the students already got, and they share with other peers as well. So this is also one of the examples which I gone through in few last few days. So I just mentioned it, and definitely Doon School is a lead.
The school you're probably referring to is from the Sunbeam Group,
No, sir. It's a DPS Varanasi.
DPS Varanasi. So I would just like to tell you that I conducted the same experiment that you are mentioning in 1988.
Wow.
And I was head of Sana. And where it collapsed was the parents started getting confused with income tax returns
Okay.
because the students had bought portfolios which now were being reflected in the parents' returns. And so the
Okay.
parents said, "Can you please stop this? You do it theoretically, but let's not do it experientially."
Okay. So no, that complete activity is inside school only. So
Okay.
though I will definitely, I was not aware of this particular point, so I'm not very well aware about the how they are operating and how these taxation part is also taken care of, whether it's taken care of or not.
Yeah.
So, but yes, definitely it's a well taken point, sir. So, as a global education leader, sir, how do you see experiential learning shaping students into responsible global citizens? Could you share an example where this approach has successfully developed skills like empathy and collaboration. You mentioned certain things. I would like to just request you to just elaborate, and if there are any example, there is any other example for that.
See, when you talk about skills, schools are only responsible as far as their boards are concerned, their examining boards are concerned, they're only responsible for hard skills, technical skills. Whereas actual, life tells you that your success in your career and in your life and as a human being and as a parent and so on is not so dependent on hard skills. It is dependent more on soft skills. Now, soft skills are not examined by the examining bodies. So, therefore, soft skills are not really taught in schools. And therefore, you need to look at developing soft skills, which is very important because research has shown that almost 80% of your success in life is dependent on soft skills. But as far as globally, looking at education and how it affects students, you know, there are organizations which are globally very strong. They stretch across maybe 100, 200 schools. Uh, and these are like Global Connections, which is a very, very strong organization, very good organization. You have Round Square. Global Connection started in China. I think it's now headquartered in South America and Colombia. Round Square is from England. World Leading Schools Association from China and Amsterdam, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of organizations, but most of them cater to adults, to the heads of schools and to the educators. The one organization which I really got interested in, and therefore I moved from head of Round Square for South Asia and the Gulf, I moved to AFS India. And in India, I started the school membership. That school membership committee has, I think, now I'm told about 200 schools. And it is not an expensive organization. It gives an opportunity to schools which are not necessarily uh, expensive schools. Now, this egalitarian opportunity they get is for physical exchanges. They can go abroad to different countries on exchange. There are students from other countries coming to their schools, and those who can't afford it can apply for scholarships. There are scholarships available, and these exchanges could be for as short as 6 weeks or as long as a year. And they have really changed a lot of lives of people who have been given these opportunities. Now, apart from the physical exchanges, you have the cultural induction. Because before you send a child out, the children must be introduced to that other culture. Otherwise, they will go there and be lost. So that in itself is educative. And then when they go there, they get the exposure, and they're getting, in the process, they also get to know their own culture better. I mean, the Indian culture is so strong and so varied, uh, but we never really look at it seriously. We take it for granted. But when we are going abroad and we have to talk about ourselves to students from another country altogether, let's say the child is going to Sweden or the child is going to Brazil, then the child is going to have to talk about India, Indian culture, Indian economics, Indian sports, Indian music, dance. The whole thing is, a learning experience for the child. And then when he goes there, or she goes there, then there is the teaching side of it. And there's an exchange of ideas, and they pick up stuff which is happening in the countries they go to. They make friends, and it's a fantastic thing which is life changing for them. Then you have virtual projects because everyone can't spare the time or the money to go abroad. So then you have a whole lot of projects which are done virtually, internationally, and today if you are looking at the global situation, whether it is education or whether it is work, you don't know when you are going to be posted in a country other than India. You don't know when you are going to get an opportunity to go and study in a university other than an Indian university. So when you are starting to look at education and profession uh, as an international, as a global thing, then children in school need to be prepared for such an eventuality. I mean, I remember, for example, that when I joined a particular school and I sent children to Switzerland, uh, they were from a very conservative background. They hadn't had any experience globally. And the organizers in Switzerland wrote to me or sent me a message saying that, what do we do with your kids? Because they want poha and jalebi for breakfast, and we don't know what poha and jalebi is. So that was the beginning of our global experiment. And by the time I left that school, there were hundreds of students uh, going abroad every year and hundreds of students coming in for various reasons, for exchanges, for sports, for this, that, and the other. Until we then started something called um, the Master Chef building, where there are stations, 32 stations, so because no class had more than 32 students, so 32 stations with equipment and one master chef who could change anytime. It could be someone from Maharashtra, it could be someone from Tamil Nadu, it could be someone from France. And there was this cultural mix which went in with the cooking of food, because with food goes the appreciation of the culture, the setting, the customs. And so you start learning about each other even without going there. And this was a very interesting experiment that we conducted very, very successfully. So I think, we really do have a lot of need to have a global exposure for our students so that they can actually become global citizens who can either work or get educated overseas.
100% agree, sir. Because what I also feel that every costume or every culture, custom, or every food, because in India we have a diverse society, and everyone has their own cultures, everyone has their own costumes, obviously the fooding as well, and everything has a reason. So definitely a child, when he or she learns that why this particular thing happens, so the curiosity to learn more give them an opportunity to explore, and then they definitely feel comfortable. And I'm sure all the teachers, those who prepare students for any global exchange, so definitely these things always matters. So, for educators and institutions aiming to adopt experiential learning effectively, so I would like to ask you, what would be your key recommendations to ensure its long-term impact on students and their overall development?
Yeah, I think we need to, understand that we have certain things to offer as a nation in terms of culture, in terms of antiquity, in terms of fantastic teachers. I think we have the best teachers. I seriously do say that. Uh, at the same time, we need to also see what are the good things that we can bring back from overseas to enrich our own schools. And one of them, as I said earlier, was skills. That we are concentrating too much on marks, we are concentrating too much on exams, and therefore we are concentrating entirely on hard skills or technical skills, which the kind of research that has been conducted by places like Harvard and Carnegie Mellon and Stanford indicate to us that only about 20% of your success in your career depends on your hard skills, because everyone starts off basically with the same level of hard skills. What takes you forward is your soft skills. We are not teaching soft skills. So that is one thing I think we need to look at. The second is that schools abroad, the residential schools especially, they have off-campus sites for self-reliant cooking, adventure, you know, basically being away from home, being away from school, and learning to survive on your own. That is something which our children don't have. We are very spoiled as a nation. Our children expect everything to be put in front of them on a platter. That needs to change. Then you have a more responsible uh, attitude abroad towards self-learning. Here, there is this tuition culture. And the tuition culture will only get you up to a point. It's like a crutch. The minute you have to give up that crutch, then you really don't know how to survive on your own. And the kind of helicopter mothers and lawnmower mothers and their groups which exchange information on a daily basis on social media, WhatsApp groups, is very detrimental to making independent citizens, because you can be in a situation where your mother takes care of all your problems, and then the day comes when she's not there, and then you don't know how to go about solving those problems, which you're going to keep accumulating during your life. So and that is something which we need to look at. Then the professional training and the in-service training for educators, for all aspects of people in an educational institution. That's why Boarding Schools Association of India is starting with certification and diploma courses, where right from the head of the school to the finance person to the manager to the matron who's looking after the health of the children to the catering manager, all these people are being trained and given certification. So we are in the process of doing this. We have already talked to the universities and to some organizations of a similar nature overseas. So this is something which we need to do more, become more professional in the services that we are providing to students. And of course, counseling. Now, we are not giving enough importance to counseling. Counselors are considered almost like an extra item on the faculty, whereas counselors are very, very important for the well-being, mental well-being, for even for the career options that students need to look at. So whether it is career counseling, uh, for example, you have Mindler Education, which gives you not just career counseling, but it gives you virtual internships, because everyone can't go for an internship. Or you have counseling for just for mental well-being for people who are disturbed in some way. So counseling has to be strengthened in India. And I think what Mindler is doing is very nice, because they're actually empowering all the teachers in a school to become counselors and passing, giving them the kind of certification for that. So I think these are the kind of things which I find, especially this tuition culture is not helping our students.
Absolutely awesome, sir. So this is something really productive and enriching the school culture. And if definitely we have a counselors, number of counselors, not a single counselor, one or two counselors, all the teachers address the situations and address the particular needs of a child. So definitely we can create a different culture. So as we conclude this session, sir, I want to take a moment to reflect on the wealth of knowledge shared today. So, Dr. Singh, your insights into the transformative power of experiential learning have been truly enlightening, and your emphasis on its role of preparing students for real world challenges while fostering mental well-being highlights the critical importance of modern education. The example you shared have inspired to all to think differently about how education can evolve. And heartfelt thanks you to EduTV for creating a unique platform to discuss and pivotal topics. Your efforts in bringing together educators, innovators, and thought leaders play a vital role in advancing the mission of educational excellence. To everyone who joined us today, let's the session be called a call to action. Let's continue to uh, advocate the experiential learning as a uh, const- cornerstone of education, empowering students to thrive in an ever changing world. Thank you being a part of meaningful dialogue. Thank you, sir. It was really nice learning, and it was really an empowering session and enlightening session for all of us. So, on behalf of EduTV and all of us, I heartily thank you for your contribution towards Indian education system and global education system.
You're welcome, Mr. Mahe. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
thank you, EduTV. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sumer. Thank you, Chetan sir. Thank you so much.